The city of San Haven was waking up slowly. The streets were quiet, bathed in a golden glow that made even the most ordinary corner feel cinematic. Lila Thompson sat by the window of her small apartment, sipping lukewarm coffee. Her daughter Mia was still asleep, curled up under a blanket that smelled faintly of lavender. Lila's mind, however, was far from peaceful. 7 years ago, her life had taken a turn that she could never have predicted. She had left behind her hometown, her parents, and a legacy she had once thought untouchable. Now, pieces of that legacy were surfacing again in ways that threatened to unravel her carefully rebuilt life. It was 7:43 a.m. when her phone vibrated insistently, multiple missed calls. She hesitated before picking up. The voice on the line was familiar, yet distant. "Lila, we need to talk," said the caller, her brother, Jordan. The words hung in the air like a storm cloud. Lila knew what this meant. Her family had re-entered her life, and it would not be pleasant. To understand why Lila's heart tightened at that call, one must know the past. Jordan had always been ambitious, yet manipulative. Their parents, Richard and Marlene Thompson, had quietly favored him in ways that Lila only noticed too late. 7 years ago, they had liquidated part of the family's assets, and Lila, blinded by trust, had stepped away thinking the estate was secure. Now, whispers of new actions, secret meetings, and unexpected claims reached her, painting a picture that Lila could not ignore. By mid-morning, Lila decided to check her messages and emails. One PDF caught her eye, a document with her name at the top, signatures she didn't recognize, and a series of transactions that drained the account she thought she controlled. Her heart pounded as she read it twice, then a third time. Each line confirmed her suspicion. Someone had been orchestrating events behind her back. She called her legal advisor, Peter Klein. "Peter, I think it's happening again," she said, voice barely above a whisper. He replied with calm urgency, "Send me everything. Don't delete, don't change anything. We'll build a case, but timing is everything." Later that morning, Mia wandered into the kitchen. "Mom, why are you frowning?" she asked, her small hands resting on the counter. Lila forced a smile. "It's nothing, baby," Lila said. Then she repeated, quietly, under her breath, "It's nothing. It's nothing." The repetition was a trick she had learned to steady her mind in moments of chaos. Mia tilted her head, sensing her mother's unease. "Are we going to be okay?" Lila crouched to her level, eyes locking. "We're going to be okay. I promise. We'll fix this together." The promise felt both comforting and heavy, because Lila knew the challenges ahead would test every ounce of her resolve. For the rest of the day, Lila went through files, emails, and receipts. Each page she opened revealed a meticulous orchestration of deception. Transfers made without her knowledge, accounts opened in her name, and signatures forged with alarming precision. Her mind raced. Jordan had always been sly, but now, with her parents' tacit approval, the stakes were higher than ever. By evening, Lila had drafted a plan. She repeated key points to herself twice, as she often did. Document everything, confirm every transaction, protect Mia at all costs, expose deception strategically. Her strategy was simple but required patience and precision. She couldn't afford a single misstep. One wrong move could destroy her leverage. The following day, she received a formal invitation from her parents. Jordan would be there, as would Marlene and Richard. The language was polite, almost cordial, but Lila knew better. She prepared meticulously, reviewing every document, every email, and every legal precedent. She knew she had to control not only the facts, but the emotional atmosphere of the meeting. The day of the meeting, the Thompson estate gleamed in the late morning sun. Lila parked outside, taking a moment to breathe. Mia clutched her hand, sensing the tension. "Mom, I'm scared," she admitted. "Me too, honey. But fear isn't defeat," Lila said, repeating the line softly, letting it anchor her mind. Inside, her family awaited, smiles painted carefully over expressions of judgment and subtle hostility. Lila noticed the small gestures, Jordan adjusting his tie nervously, Richard fidgeting with a pen, Marlene avoiding eye contact. Every micro-expression was a clue. Lila started calmly. "Thank you all for meeting today. There are matters regarding the estate and past transactions that must be clarified." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. Jordan attempted to cut in. "Lila, I'm speaking," she interrupted, voice steady. "Every action has consequences, and tonight, we address them." She laid out the PDFs, emails, and statements. Repeating key findings twice for emphasis, she allowed silence to punctuate the gravity of the situation. "You see," she said, "these transactions were made without my consent. The signatures are forged, the transfers unauthorized." Marlene's lips tightened. Richard shifted uncomfortably. Jordan's confidence faltered as the undeniable facts laid bare his duplicity. Mia, now quietly watching, whispered, "Mom, they're lying." Lila glanced at her daughter, heart swelling. Clara always notices first, she thought. She smiled, repeating the thought inwardly to steady her nerves. She sees the truth before I do sometimes. After the meeting, Lila returned home exhausted but determined. She recapped events in her journal, emphasizing lessons learned and patterns observed. Reflection helped her consolidate her strategy for the next phase, reclaiming control of the estate and redefining her family dynamics. What will happen next? The next confrontation will be more intense, with hidden secrets emerging that could shift power and emotional control dramatically. The next morning, Lila woke before dawn, her mind restless and racing through the events of the previous day. She brewed coffee, the aroma filling the small kitchen, but it did little to calm her nerves. The documents she had collected, every PDF, email, and note, were stacked neatly on the table, each one a reminder of the meticulous planning and betrayal she had uncovered. Jordan had been smug during the meeting, thinking his charm could smooth over the facts, but Lila knew better. She had to outmaneuver them strategically, not react emotionally. By mid-morning, she decided to visit the law office of Peter Klein to discuss the next steps. The streets of San Haven were bustling now, joggers weaving between traffic cones, coffee shops opening their doors, and the first light of the sun reflecting off car windows. Lila navigated the familiar routes while rehearsing her approach, mentally reciting each point she needed to emphasize. At the office, Peter greeted her with a quiet nod, understanding the gravity without words. They spread the documents across the table, scrutinizing each detail and mapping out a sequence of legal maneuvers to protect Lila's rights and assets. "We'll need patience," Peter said. "They've woven a web and we have to untangle it without giving them room to counteract." Lila nodded, her jaw tight, recalling the sharpness in Jordan's eyes the day before. Returning home, she found Mia already awake, drawing pictures of their small apartment, unaware of the tension shadowing the day. Lila sat beside her, lifting the crayons and smiling. "Show me what you drew, Mia," she said. Her daughter's innocence was grounding, a reminder that every decision Lila made had to protect not just herself, but the life and peace of her child. Over the following days, Lila carefully documented every interaction, noting subtle shifts in her parents' and brother's behavior. She noticed the small lies, the hesitant smiles, and the over-polished sentences they delivered as if to mask their intentions. Each detail became ammunition, each pause a clue to their motives. When she returned to the apartment one evening, she found an unexpected letter slipped under her door. It was from her grandmother, Ruth, who had passed years ago. Lila's hands trembled as she unfolded the yellowed paper. Lila, protect yourself. Trust is precious, but vigilance is essential. Your strength is in clarity and patience, the note read. Tears blurred her vision, not of sadness, but of resolve. Grandma Ruth had always been meticulous, and even in passing, her guidance reinforced the strategy Lila had formed instinctively. Later that week, an email arrived from Jordan, casual in tone but heavy with implication. Let's discuss things calmly. We can avoid any unpleasantness. Lila read it twice, noting the hidden threat. She typed a careful response, acknowledging the message but refusing to compromise on her terms. As the days turned into a tense week, Lila prepared for the next meeting, ensuring that every angle was covered, every document ready, every emotional variable anticipated. She repeated her mantra silently: clarity over anger, patience over reaction, strategy over emotion. Then came the morning of the second confrontation. The Thompson estate was brighter than the day before, the sun reflecting off the manicured lawns and polished windows. Lila parked and walked up to the door, Mia holding her hand firmly. "Mom, are you going to be okay?" her daughter asked. Lila squeezed her hand. "We'll be okay. We just have to be smart." Inside, the family gathered again. Jordan tried to display confidence, Richard and Marlene wearing polite smiles that did not reach their eyes. Lila noticed the small tells, the shifts in posture, the micro-expressions that betrayed concealed guilt. She began speaking, repeating key points deliberately: the transactions without her consent, the forged signatures, the manipulated accounts. Each revelation landed like a stone thrown into still water, rippling through the room. Jordan's lips pressed thin. Marlene's gaze flicked away. Richard shifted uneasily in his seat. Mia sat quietly, absorbing the tension and whispering softly, "Mom, they can't hide it." Lila gave her a small nod, grateful for her daughter's insight. Hours passed, each exchange a careful balancing act between exposing the truth and maintaining control over the situation. Lila repeated points twice for emphasis, allowed silence to punctuate heavy statements, and occasionally paused to let her family's reactions confirm her observations. By late afternoon, it was clear that Lila had shifted the balance. The family's composure had cracks, their confidence waned, and for the first time they understood that she was not vulnerable or unaware. Returning home, Lila felt exhaustion mixing with triumph. She reflected on the confrontation in her journal, noting not only the facts, but the emotions, the unspoken dynamics, and the strategic choices that had turned the day in her favor. Mia played nearby, unaware of the gravity of the week, but offering the joy and innocence that made every battle worthwhile. That night, Lila laid out the next stage of her plan, carefully managing communications, monitoring financial movements, and preparing for eventual restitution and reconciliation, or, if necessary, firm legal action. She repeated silently: clarity, patience, strength, and protection. The week ended with a quiet evening in their apartment. Lila and Mia cooked dinner together, their laughter interspersed with conversation about mundane things: school, a neighbor's dog, the smell of fresh bread. In these moments, the weight of strategy and confrontation faded, replaced by the reminder of why she was fighting. This part of Lila's journey illustrated the delicate balance of patience, vigilance, and emotional fortitude. She had learned to anticipate deception, interpret subtle signals, and act decisively without succumbing to rash emotion. Listeners feel drawn into the intensity, the psychological maneuvering, and the deeply human stakes, understanding that this story is not only about financial control, but about autonomy, trust, and protecting those you love. As the sun set, Lila held Mia close and whispered, "We've taken the first step. There will be more, but we are ready." The quiet confidence of that statement resonated with the listener, setting up anticipation for the next escalation. The following morning, Lila woke to the muted hum of Sandhaven, a city just beginning to stir under a clear sky. Her apartment was quiet, Mia still asleep, and the sunlight casting long streaks across the wooden floor. Lila sat at the kitchen table, the PDFs and legal notes from the previous confrontations stacked neatly beside her. She traced the lines of text, feeling the weight of each forged signature, each unauthorized transaction, each subtle manipulation. Her plan had worked so far, but the final act would require precision and nerves of steel. By mid-morning, she contacted Peter Klein, her legal advisor, confirming every detail, every timeline, and every strategy. The next meeting would be decisive. Peter's voice was steady, encouraging. "Lila, you've documented everything perfectly. Now it's about presentation and timing. Control the narrative, control the outcome." Lila nodded, her mind rehearsing dialogue, emotional cues, and the rhythm of the exchange. She repeated key phrases internally: patience, clarity, resolve. She had learned that overreaction could give her family leverage, subtlety was her weapon, and silence was sometimes more powerful than words. Later, she picked Mia up from school, noticing how perceptive children could be. Mia's small observations, her questions, and even her casual remarks provided a window into innocence and truth that adults often ignored. "Mom, why are you staring at the papers?" Mia asked. Lila smiled gently. "I'm making sure everything is okay, honey. Just like when we build your Lego towers, careful planning is key." The metaphor was simple, yet it reinforced to herself the strategy needed for what lay ahead. That evening, Lila reviewed her documents once more. She had memorized the contents, rehearsed the potential reactions of each family member, and prepared contingencies for every possible diversion. Jordan had grown careless in his overconfidence, Richard hesitant, and Marlene's attempts at manipulation thinly veiled behind politeness. Lila knew the next encounter would reveal everything. The morning of the meeting, the Thompson estate shone in the golden light of early spring. Lila parked the car and took a deep breath. Mia's hand in hers provided grounding. "We're ready, Mom," her daughter said. Lila nodded, steadying herself. Inside, the family gathered, expressions carefully neutral but betraying underlying tension. Lila began calmly. "There are matters we must resolve concerning the estate and previous transactions. I will lay out the facts clearly and completely." Jordan attempted to interrupt, but Lila's gaze fixed on him, her voice firm. "Every point will be addressed in order. I will not be sidetracked." She methodically presented the evidence, repeating key findings to ensure clarity and impact: forged signatures, unauthorized transactions, and manipulated accounts. Each repetition underscored the gravity, while deliberate pauses allowed the room to absorb the truth. Jordan's confident facade cracked, Richard fidgeted with a pen, and Marlene avoided eye contact, their carefully constructed defenses unraveling under the weight of documented truth. Mia, sitting quietly, whispered to her mother, "They can't hide it." Lila's eyes met her daughter's, gratitude and determination blending into a quiet strength. The hours passed with tense exchanges, strategic pauses, and repeated emphasis on critical points. Lila maintained control, letting the silence, the evidence, and the emotional reality speak louder than confrontation alone. By late afternoon, the outcome was undeniable. Lila had regained the upper hand. Her family's composure faltered, their subtle manipulations ineffective, and Lila's preparation, patience, and clarity had shifted the power decisively. Returning home, she reflected on the confrontation in her journal, noting patterns, lessons, and strategic insights. Mia played nearby, blissfully unaware of the stakes, reminding Lila why every action mattered. That evening, as they shared a quiet dinner, Lila repeated her mantra: vigilance, patience, resolve, protection. She knew the journey was far from over, but this chapter demonstrated the power of awareness, preparation, and calm determination. As the city lights began to twinkle, Lila tucked Mia into bed, whispering reassurance and love. "We've faced the storm and held our ground. Tomorrow is another day, and we will meet it with clarity and courage." The story of these days illustrated the depth of human resilience, the impact of meticulous planning, and the value of emotional intelligence when facing deception. It was a lesson in patience, strategy, and the subtle power of observation. The Thompson family's attempts at control had been thwarted not by aggression, but by methodical, unwavering determination. Lila's journey had taught her the importance of protecting what truly mattered, anticipating every move, and using both mind and heart to navigate complex family dynamics. As the night settled over Sandhaven, Lila looked out the window, feeling the calm of accomplishment and the quiet anticipation of challenges yet to come. The narrative left listeners with tension, resolution, and a sense of lived reality. Even carefully hidden deception could not withstand preparation, clarity, and emotional resilience. With Mia by her side, Lila felt ready to face any challenge, armed with knowledge, patience, and an unwavering sense of purpose. Every repetition, every observation, every strategic pause had prepared her for this moment. The story concluded this part with the satisfaction of justice approached thoughtfully, the psychological tension resolved, yet leaving space for reflection, and the human drama fully realized. Lila's eyes closed as she whispered to herself, "We are ready for whatever comes next." A closing thought that resonated, leaving the audience emotionally invested and eager for any continuation or insight, completing the narrative arc with both closure and lingering anticipation.